How many of you have ever been really hurt in a past relationship? Really hurt. My hand's up too. Unfortunately, many of us know that feeling, and it is not good. What happens when you end a relationship and you've been hurt and you don't deal with the pain and the anger is that it can manifest itself in your future relationships, the new person you meet. In many cases, when we've been hurt, we try to protect ourselves by not really committing to that new person, by not really giving them our full heart. And the reason we do this is simple. We haven't healed the pain of the past. I'm Barbara De Angelis. Coming up on my show, we're going to be talking to a woman who feels like she wants more of a commitment from her boyfriend. And the man, who's her boyfriend, who says he is scared to show people how much he loves her. We're going to find out why he's scared to make a commitment. We're going to give them a love makeover, so stay tuned next. Someone who's been divorced can have many hidden challenges, as one of our guests today found out. You meet someone who's been separated or divorced, and they filed for divorce, but even though they feel ready to fall in love with you, they may not be ready for the emotional commitment that you're waiting for. Today in our show, we're going to be working with a couple who've asked us to help them work out some of the problems in their relationships in what we call a love makeover. If you've ever loved someone who is recovering from loving someone else, you won't want to miss this. Let's find out a little bit about them. Deirdre Cunningham had been friends with Steve Conkling for over 2 years during his marriage to another woman. Last June, Steve left his wife, and shortly after that, his friendship with Deirdre began to change. Steve and Deirdre realized they were falling in love, and within a short time, Steve moved into Deirdre's condominium. As the months passed, Deirdre's commitment to Steve grew, but Steve began to feel hesitant about the relationship. He knew he loved Deirdre, but was afraid they were growing too close too quickly. Deirdre complained that he was growing away from her. Steve was afraid of making a real commitment, publicly and privately. Deirdre tried talking, even writing to Steve about her growing concerns, but he could only say that he was sorry, confused, and scared. Today, Steve and Deirdre are very much in love, but both want to strengthen their commitment so they can share a lifetime of happiness together. Okay, we're here with Steve, who we just saw, and Deirdre's going to be joining us a little bit later, so I got you all to myself. Yeah. You called us because you wanted to talk about this. You wanted help with what's going on, right? Now, I'm going to ask you a strange question. When she comes out here, what's she going to tell me? Okay. What's she going to say the problem is?
Well, she's going to tell you about how there's been a lot of instances, or at least many instances, where I really haven't given her the feelings of the warm fuzzies that you need out of a relationship. And it's not so much what we have at home, because that's good. It's what we have out there when we're in front of her friends, or when we're with my parents, or when she met my parents.
Tell me about that.
When I had a 10-year high school reunion, and we flew back for that, and I invited Deirdre to go with me, and we flew over in the plane. And as we were landing in the plane, I got very, very nervous, and she could tell I was nervous. And she said, "Why are you so nervous?" And I said, "Well, I'm concerned my folks may be there, and I'm nervous about that." And she said, "Well, why are you so nervous about your folks being at the airport?" I said, "Because I haven't told them you're coming." And
you didn't tell them that she was coming, or you didn't tell them that you were with her?
Yes.
Both?
Yes.
Both.
And so...
And how many months had you been together at this point?
About a month and a half, so
okay.
Long enough that I should have been able to do that. And
so let me ask you this, okay? You ended your marriage, very quickly got involved with one another, very quickly moved in together.
Yes.
What's going on in your mind? You know, mom and dad call up, "How are you doing, son? Is everything okay? Are you having a hard time?" And you're there trying to hide your smile.
Sure.
What was the fear about calling them up and telling them, calling your friends and telling them, that made you kind of keep her a secret, which I know is what's bothering her?
Well, I was very, very dedicated to my marriage. I worked very hard, I believe, in my marriage. I think my ex-wife worked very hard to try and make it work. And so when it ended and I was suddenly in another relationship, it was, gosh, how can you feel good? How can you be over it? How can it be getting better? How is this okay? And does it mean that you didn't care about your marriage and did it not matter?
So what I hear you saying is that part of you feels, if I love somebody else so quickly, it must mean, A, I didn't really love my wife. B, I'm insensitive to the fact that we just got divorced.
Much more, yeah.
Right. And that I'm a jerk. Because a good guy, a good ex-husband would be doing what?
Grieving and hurting and
right.
going through every day alone and miserable and
right. Even though you knew the relationship was over, you'd still be suffering for about how long? How long do you think other people think you should be suffering?
Oh gosh, at least a year.
At least a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've only known each other how long now? Well, you've only been together for how long?
We've only been together 8 months.
So you got 4 more months
till
you're allowed, at least, of hell, till you're allowed to enjoy yourself.
Right.
Right. So there's that feeling of what other people are thinking of the fact that I'm in love again.
Right.
So what do you do? What do you do when your friends say, what's happening, how are you? How have you treated her around them?
Well, a lot of times I just I can't even say the word. I don't bring it up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm dating again. That's the start off of it. And then the next time I talk to him, yes, we're dating and it's the same girl and oh, I've known her for a while. She was a friend of mine before that. And then maybe the third call, it's oh, and she's really special. And then the 4th or 5th call, it's oh yeah, things are great.
You see what he's doing? He's warming them up, isn't he? He's warming them up so that one day when he says he's in love, they're not going to say, you scoundrel, that's disgusting. How could you do that?
That's right.
There's a battle inside of you. There's a battle between the part of you that learned lessons from that relationship and knew what you wanted and went out and, you know, through the grace of God or whatever, found somebody, and the part of you that says, I don't deserve to be happy because I failed at my marriage.
Right.
You feel that inside?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of sadness there, too. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to Deirdre and see if she would have said what he said, she said, and find out how we can help them celebrate the love that they really have together. So come back with us. We've been talking to Steve, and we've been joined by Deirdre, who's been listening to all of this. Now, you heard the first question I asked him, which is, what's she going to tell me when she comes out here? What's she going to say the problem is? How did you feel about what he said?
I think he was really close to the issue. The issue that I feel is honesty and disclosure. It brought itself up in many different ways. He mentioned the trip to Texas and also in relationships with other women that he's been involved in. He has sort of a habit of keeping in contact with past girlfriends, whether it be through letters, phone calls, support systems.
The women out here muttering, going, we don't like that, ladies.
And what I hear from Steve in our daily lives is that I love you, you're the most wonderful woman I've ever met, I want to marry you, I want to have your children, and...
now that's really something, I'll tell you. That is real commitment.
But I feel that it's a good relationship, and then we might get a phone call from a past girlfriend, or when we went to the 10-year reunion, one of his other girlfriends was there, and she confronted us in a way. She wanted to be with him, she wanted to kiss him, and actually they sort of met after I came back home to California afterward. So the honesty portion of it scares me. And,
met.
Yeah.
Define met. So
just talked. He went over to rescue her and help her out with some situations that she was having about letting go. And we've been working really
Those
closely.
are your issues, letting go. What are you helping her with that?
Yes.
See, we were talking before about his thinking that being in love again makes him somehow bad. That being happy, having a wonderful girlfriend, thinking about getting married again someday, does something to his old relationship. What's the word you used before?
Cheapens it or lessens it.
It cheapens what he had. And something I want you to think about is that the fact that after being married, you still have so much to give. You still have so much love. You have more love and commitment. You have more purity of heart. Actually celebrates the marriage that you had. I mean, people who had a terrible marriage don't want to talk to anybody again. It's a different way to think about it. People who had goodness come out of their marriage, who had closeness, who learned, who grew together, say, I'm ready for love again because that was a good experience, even though it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. It's a little different way of thinking about it, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
And when you say that loving her cheapens your old relationship, how do you feel about that?
It's interesting. Actually, I knew his ex-wife, and I was surprised by the circumstances that led to their marriage dissolving. And when people would look at them, they would see the perfect couple. And there was a lot of undertones and things that were happening. And when I found out about it, I was amazed, and I could really reach out to him as a friend and say, you know, I'm so sorry that this happened.
But does that scare you? Does it scare you that everything looked perfect and then bang, it blew up, and here you are worried that he isn't always honest about what's going on, that he's like Mr. Perfect on the outside? Is this what I'm hearing? He's Mr. Perfect, he writes you the letters, he says all the right things, but isn't willing to deal with the fears, and that could sabotage the relationship.
I feel that. I feel that I have like a certain boundary of honesty, and I'm not able to open up with him unless he's honest with me. I've just come out of a relationship as well, and so I have like my own little walls around me, and I look at it and say, well, is this safe? And when the occurrences happen where he's not honest, I go, okay, no, that's okay. I'll step back and I'll evaluate it and see where we're going. So I look at it and I think, what's a safe period? How do I judge it? And I need to, know the tools. Am I being really hard on him? Am I being patient? Am I being nurturing? Do I want to, push him away, or do I want to work it out?
What's your worst fear?
That
close your eyes for a minute.
He'll maintain relationships with other women even when there's really nothing there substantially for him.
And what'll that do to you?
Oh, it'll crush me because I feel that we have a lot of potential. And I know how happy we are, and I know the joy that we feel every day.
She's saying spending time talking to other women, connecting with them when your friends still don't know how much you love me is hurting me so much and is making me feel like you have one foot in the door and one foot out the door. So, what about it? I mean, that's why you came here.
Yeah.
This is how she feels. Is it that important to you? Do you think it's a way that keeps you feeling safe and a little bit less committed?
Oh, sure. Rationally, I know that what I say is not the smartest thing, but inside, yeah, when I have friends that have been past relationships, or when I can say, I've always been with somebody who's been a friend, and therefore I keep those friendships after the relationship doesn't work out, it's a safe place. That person knows me, and I've got a safe place to go if this doesn't.
See, I hear safety, safety, safety. And no one's going to dislike me, and no one's going to get mad at me. If I'm staying, friendly with all my ex-wives, right, and all my ex-girlfriends, at the end of my life, when everyone votes, you'll win the election because everyone loves Steve. But this woman is saying, I need something. And I have a feeling that if she were getting the acknowledgement from you, to your friends, to your parents, this is number one, so what you talk to an ex-girlfriend, am I right?
Exactly.
So what if you talk once in a while? But she's not feeling number one, so every time you give a scrap to somebody else, she feels it's something she should be getting. All right, hang on, you guys are doing great. We're going to come back, we're going to talk to some people in the audience with similar situations and give some solutions to these guys, because we want it to work for them, so don't go away. Back to Steve and Deirdre for a minute. They're sitting up here, but we have a lot of people who've been nodding their heads and waving and saying, this is my life. You leapt up to the microphone.
Well, I just want to say I can really relate with what Steve's saying, because I would never give any of my girlfriends a commitment. By the time I gave them a commitment, they were uncommitted. And
So what was that about? I mean, you've gone through this a lot. What was driving you to have that fear of commitment?
Past relationships, the hurt, just like what he's talking about. The people in my social group, all my peers would say, oh, I love your girlfriend, she's great, you should commit to her, but like him, but they're not the ones that had to commit to her. So.
Right. And see, and the problem with fear of commitment because you were hurt is this vicious circle. You're with someone when you're 21 and they hurt you, so you hold back a little bit on your next person. And then because you hold back, the relationship doesn't work, and it doesn't work, and you end breaking up. And then because it broke up, your third person you hold back. And it never heals itself because it is a vicious circle.
I've lost my last 3 relationships because of that, so
yeah.
I've got to stop sometime.
Yeah, well, just listening to everything and learning from what we're doing today. Yes. Okay. Who else is listening to this and saying, this is the story of my life? Yes?
I could really relate to your what you've been saying, Steve and Deirdre, because my boyfriend and I, we've both been divorced for more than 10 years. We've been going together 3.5 years, and we find that we have issues of commitment, but we don't commit. Instead, we kind of sweep it under the rug, and then because we sweep it under the rug, we can't commit.
Right.
We both travel a lot, so it's a lot easier to just have a few days together, and then, you know, we're off to our separate cities or whatever, and then nothing gets dealt with, and next thing you know, it's next year.
How long has this been going on?
3.5 years.
Yeah.
We both love each other. I know it's the right relationship. It's not perfect, but would any relationship be? And we find that, you know, being mature people, that having dated and having, you know, had marriages in the past, the bottom line is people still need people. And there's no sense of pretending that no matter how independent we are, we need relationships in our lives that are very close to us.
See, here's the bottom line, because he's talking about being afraid, you are, and you're talking about being afraid of committing again. What's the worst thing that could happen if you made a commitment again?
I'd get hurt.
You get hurt. And then what? See, that's really it. We say, I'm afraid of...
How many times do you get hurt, though?
How many times do you get hurt and bounce back? I've been through a lot of relationships. I'm not ashamed to say that. And yes, you get hurt each time, but you also learn. You also learn more about loving. Are you loving her in more honest ways, in better ways, with more wisdom than you loved when you were younger?
Yes.
Yes. All right. And are you loving the man you're with now in more honest, conscious ways than when you first married?
Yes, I think so,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. And he's not having any relationships, so we're not going to talk to him about it. But that's the whole point of relationships. Not that we're supposed to do it perfectly, that we learn and we grow, and it does get better. And commitment makes it better, too. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, who was it who was... Yeah, you guys, yes.
Now, I can relate with what everybody said because I married somebody that had that problem of fear of commitment. You know, talk about a fear of commitment. I asked her to marry me over a dozen times. I picked her up in a limousine. I took her to the finest restaurant. I got down on my knees, and I was playing the right music. The romantic story, you know, and she still said no. And she kept throwing up statistics. But over the time that we spent establishing a friendship and over patience, we grew to where we trusted each other, and she finally trusted me to know that we could do it. And
she said yes?
Yeah.
And, is this her? She looks, are you pregnant? She looks pregnant, so obviously she made the commitment. Something happened here, I don't know. All right, we're going to come back, talk to Steve and Deirdre, give them some homework to do, so don't go away. Okay, Steve and Deirdre, there's no way in a half hour we can fix your entire relationship. But do you feel a little more hopeful, like understanding some of the things that have been going on? Yeah, I do. And what I want you to do, and this is for you, Steve, is to really think about the fact that if you don't make the commitment, not to stay with her forever, not to have it be perfect, but to try 100%, the relationship will be doomed to failure. What do you need to commit to her right now that you can walk away from this show and work on for the next few weeks, and then we can check back with you and see how you did?
Well, I think I've got a lot of work to try and make sure that all the people that I interact with, both past lovers and friends and the people that I work with, know how special you are to me. And to make sure that I let people know that, and that I don't walk around trying to prep people and make it okay for them to hear that my relationship has changed or that I'm so happy now.
You're going to celebrate her. That's what he's saying. Yeah. All right. There are no guarantees in love. You do take a chance when you open your heart and put 100% of yourself into a relationship. But you know what we're hearing? You take an even bigger risk when you don't commit, when you don't open up, when you hold back your love. And you end up sabotaging the relationship. The best chance your relationship can have is to give it all you have and take the energy you've been using to protect yourself from pain and use it to build trust and communication and intimacy. I hope if you've been holding back, you're inspired to take the TV, turn it off, and go show that person how much you love them. Thank you both so much. I'm Barbara De Angelis. Join me again tomorrow.